Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am here with my first non-KBC, non-community member guest, although I actually consider him to be a part of our community because we have been using his equipment for almost 15 years now, and he has become a dear friend and someone that I really look up to in the industry, and I can't wait to introduce him. But one thing that I want to say about Marc Lebert, who is our guest today, hi Marc, is that he is the real deal. And that's why when I met him at an Idea Fitness conference, we think in 2010, we're pretty sure about that date, I fell in love with him and his products. But I think I fell in love with him first because of the passion that he had for his products, the way he demonstrated them. It was, I forgot what he said. He made some comment like he could show like 20 drills in like 1 minute, and he literally did. And he was so excited. And it was nothing is coincidence. There's no ironic, but it was a little bit of a crazy situation for me because I had specifically gone to that conference looking for a way to bring the pole motion to my outdoor boot camp. I was exclusively outside, and of course, we're doing a lot of pushing and pressing, and I had no pull. And it was bothering me as a trainer that I had no pull. And I even bought this like $500 portable pull-up bar that would take an hour to put together and would do like one person at a time. I even had that going, but Marc to the rescue. So let Marc give a quick introduction, or not, doesn't have to be quick. You can say as long as you want, Marc. But I'd love for you guys to get to hear from him a little bit about him and who he is and what he does.
Wow. Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm so excited. This is going to be by far my favorite podcast ever because, like you said, we're just such good friends and we have the same passion for the business. And anyone who knows you, especially your members who are watching this, know that if you're saying anything about my passion, it's just a reflection of what you do. Because I remember, I forget which idea it was. It wasn't the first one that we met, but you had an outdoor workout and you invited me to take part. And I was like, to this day, I'm like, how do I generate that kind of voltage? It was like incredible. I was like, I thought I was.
I know what you're talking about. That was at Reston. That was an idea. Yep.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yep.
It was like, to this day, I'm like, if I ever feel like my energy's down, I just think about that. I can bring it up another level. So that was awesome. And then I totally forgot about the 20 seconds in a minute, or the 20 drills in a minute thing that I used to do all the time at conferences. I don't do that anymore. I got to bring
I know. I could probably remind you of a lot of stuff. So you said something to me, Marc, that was really funny. You were like, because you had 4 people on one bar. Like, right. You're like, you don't need to buy a bunch of bars. You can like really, and you're like, my business manager hates me because I tell people like to split them up. And we'll get to that. But anyway, go ahead and introduce yourself, Marc. Just a little bit of your history.
I say buy less of them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah. Well, brief history. I've done everything in the fitness business. I graduated from the University of Guelph, just outside of Toronto, in 1994. And when I graduated, I had to look for a job, and dating me. And I had 2 offers on the same day. One was working at a big mall here in town, Square One. I'm working security. I was going to be Paul Blart, mall cop.
You would have turned that into an opportunity.
Yeah, I would have, and I already had a security background. But then I also got a job at a small gym called Curzon's down by the airport, and I folded towels and I did access control. I opened the gym and I closed the gym, and I was on the gym floor and cleaned the change rooms and vacuumed the floors, everything for $8.25 an hour.
Of course.
That's where I cut my teeth. And,
that sounds generous, actually, then.
And I loved it. It was such a great spot. It was a racquetball squash fitness facility. So what I really liked about it was the community that brought. People would train hard, but then they'd sit at the bar and have a beer and catch up. And it was really a great spot. Then they brought in personal training. Now, you got to understand, no one knew what personal training was. The manager, Karen, called me into her office and she said, we're going to start this new innovating program. You're going to love it. It's called personal training. I'm like, great. Let me at it. So I'm on the floor, I'm training people, and they were charging at the time $40 a session. for an hour and 10 sessions at a time. And they weren't paying me anything extra. And I'm
Mm.
like, wait a minute. They go, it's a pilot program. We're not sure if it's making money.
Pilot.
And I go, well, I'm pretty sure it's making money. I told my clients, I said, I'm leaving here. And they all went with me and I trained them in their homes for years. So short sightedness on their part,
Yeah.
because it kept me there and got a lot of those members money because I seen their kids grow up in their home.
Aw.
So, yeah, and one of those members was how I came up with this idea. So, like you said, I was looking for a portable
There it
phone
is. The
solution.
original.
I was looking for a solution for in-home training. So how do I get people on the ground and work on the rows? Called up a buddy and said, I'm coming over. He was working at a steel factory. And he said, yeah, come over after hours and we'll weld some up. And I brought him a case of beer because that's what a good Canadian boy does.
Absolutely.
And I welded up the first EQs and started bringing them around to my clients' homes and testing them out. And then you come up with all kinds of ideas. And geez, that's 20 years ago now that we came up.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That is incredible. That is incredible. So when did you start to bring it to market, Mark? How did that all work?
Yeah, so once I tested the concept, that took about 8 months because I wanted a specific size and shape.
Mm-hmm.
One size can't fit all, but I can find something that's probably the right size for most.
Mm-hmm.
Then come up with, is it 2 bars? For a while, I had them attached together and stuff, but I like the idea of the separate bars so I can use them individually. And, and so we welded up. We had a factory here in Canada close by to this gym actually do 300 sets of them. They were like, they didn't even have like screws, right? They were just welded together.
Like,
So we were shipping them out in these giant boxes. It was crazy. So yeah, huge lesson. So I went to a couple local trade shows just to see if they would work, and people
mm-hmm.
were buying them. And so
Mm.
I think we got a business here. And so we started getting them made overseas, and just every penny we made went back in the company. We'd even pay ourselves for the first few years because, you have so much overhead, and you got to keep getting to trade shows. That's how I met you. And, I was doing a lot of stuff, just guerrilla marketing. I was in the parking lot at Starbucks. I invite trainers on Facebook to come visit me. I would show them and they would buy. I was selling out of my car and selling at trade shows for the first while. Yeah.
Amazing. Really amazing. Oh, yeah. And okay. So one thing that I want to go back to is when I met Mark at that conference in 2010, I literally said to him, I'm going to want a lot of these. And you're like, well, like how many? I'm like 100. And you like thought I was joking. But that's honestly, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm not quick to jump on any bandwagon, but I knew that this product
Yeah.
was special. And what I really appreciated about it was his versatility.
Yeah.
Mark, as a trainer, using it with his clients, having limited, and that's where we were in the same situation. Basically, I'm in a parking lot, right? So I have very limited, I can only, at that time, I don't even know if I really had my van yet. So I could only do bring the equipment that I could fit in my personal vehicle. And I had a lot of people, and I couldn't obviously I couldn't fit more than, a few of those in my car. So what I proposed the next time I ran my boot camp, and this is a great idea if anyone's listening to this that is doing something like an outdoor boot camp, I included the price of a bar in the membership, and I was like, you guys have to get a bar. And at first I was like, they're gonna, their big yellow bar in the back of their car, but it
Yeah.
became a status symbol. Like someone would open up their trunk at the grocery store and they'd see the bar and they'd be like, oh my gosh, you do Kelly's Boot Camp? So
Yeah.
it's a huge part of our identity, like
Yeah.
huge. In fact, a couple of people tried
I
to
love
copy
it.
me and they've got bars. I'm like, I think they think that like the bars are, so a huge part of our identity. But one thing, well, you showed so many drills with them, ladders and agility drills, but it just sticks in my head. And I tell my students this all the time. At the end, you had us do a pigeon on the bar as a stretch. And I'm more flexible now than I was 15 years ago, believe it or not. But I was very challenged flexibility wise. And I was so successful with this pigeon on the bar that I was like, this is actually, out of all the moves you showed me, Mark, this is the one that's selling me. I'm like, I thought I wanted the pull, but it was really the pigeon. It is just to this day, and I'll try not to get too excited about it, but we use them every day. I use them for most all my warm-ups. outside and inside. And inside, I have a plethora of equipment to choose from.
Yeah.
But we've got about 30 bars in the studio. So no, actually we have almost 40. So everybody they just love it. And another thing that the bars were for me was I want more men. I have a lot of men in my program, but I want even more. And they don't like doing a step touch. They don't want to do like a warm up that feels like aerobicsy. But if I put a bar in their hand and I do a row or a squat press, they feel much more comfortable. It gives them a little toy to play with.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's stay on the bars for a minute because I know I'm going to be all over the place. So then now obviously you can buy the bars anywhere. You can buy that on Amazon. You still distribute them.
Yeah.
I know you're in all different countries. That's one thing. Like, you were one of my first Facebook friends, I think. But I was like, man, he's friends with people from all over the world. Yeah. It was like, you just have this magnetic, everybody loved it. Doesn't matter what country, what age, whatever. Anyone that met you fell in love with you and just wanted to follow you. So talk a little bit, Marc, about how you were able to do that, how you were able to spread so far, so fast.
Yeah, it was, like I said, a lot of what we did to get the word out initially was to other trainers. Our focus was, if we get the bars, get the EQs in the hands of trainers like yourself, then the clients will see it, and then we can open up the market to consumers afterwards. So part of our strategy was getting the trade shows. And early on, a lot of the trade shows we went to, like IDEA, where we met you, it was kind of pay to play. We would pay a fee, and then I would get in front of the trainers, and I'd have a booth, and we'd sell and make contacts and do all that fun stuff. But it was also kind of neat because, much like BOSU and TRX and other studio tools that became popular, shows were inviting us to go teach. And so I would travel all over into Sydney. I've been to Romania. I've been to all through Europe. Been to Munich probably 6 or 7 times for the Perform Better show there. I've been to Asia, Bangkok, and Singapore, and Shanghai. I've been all over the world, and it was fascinating for me, who really didn't get out of Canada a whole lot in my younger life. And then starting to travel it was just so fascinating and fun. And like you said, just getting to meet other people and see other cultures, and also see the way they do fitness and the way they love fitness as well. Just fantastic.
Of all the places you've been, other than Virginia, obviously,
yes,
where would you say they were the most passionate and excited? Like, where were you like, oh my God, I love going here? And I think I know the answer.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's so many. But when I go to Perform Better in Munich, like, the German people are very serious about their training. They're also the most fun I've ever had out in the parks with the big beer steins and stuff. But during the training sessions, they just ate it up. They loved it. Everything I showed them, they were doing. Asia was like that as well. They were very they wanted to know, if I did an 8-hour course here, they want a 16-hour course,
Yeah.
So the culture's a bit different. But even out throughout the U.S., we've had so many great trainings, across the U.S. One thing when you're saying about wanting to buy 100 bars, it reminds me of a saying my business partner used to say, is like, when Canadians are thinking about it, Americans are doing it. And we had to get used to that mentality, because here they'll see me at a trade show for 3 years straight and be like, maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. But in the U.S., they're like, this is what I need. Let's get 100,
Yeah.
It's a different mentality.
Yeah. Well, I'm not usually like that. I just knew that those were going to be the real deal. Well, Marc, so I actually knew you were going to say Germany, but I thought maybe it was because your family is originally from Germany. Did you share
my
that?
My mom was from Holland, so very close. Yeah.
Okay.
So have that kind of feel. And my dad's French Canadian, obviously, with the last name Lebert.
Yeah. And not to bring up, but one thing that I don't even know, Marc, if you remember. I'm sure you remember this, but 2 times when you were in DC, one time you blew out your knee. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like during the conference.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was before, it was lingering. But did you go home? Did you stop? Did you change anything? Absolutely not. You kept going. I remember that so well. I'm like, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but that just left a mark on me. And then another time was with your mom. So I just, you're so dedicated, and not that those, not that you shouldn't have had to deal with those things. But like you were at this conference and you're like, people are here to see me. I'm not gonna not show up. Because I remember like, Marc, I can run your show. Like I can do your workshop. I use these things all day. And you're like, you're absolutely right. But I just remember that was so respectful. And then another thing that I remembered, I don't know if you remember this, we were in California. We were in an Idea World in California. And it was 4th of July or around then.
Oh
And
yeah.
you tell this story. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, the fireworks?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was so crazy.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm there with my Canadian contingent and hanging out with you guys, and everybody's outside waiting for this big fireworks show. They have it out in the bay on a boat, and we're waiting and we're waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, boom, like the biggest explosion I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, this is the start of the show? Well, how good is this show going to get? And as it turns out, something bad happened and all the
Yeah.
fireworks went off at once. And there was the newspapers and everybody was
Yeah.
reporting
No
the
one was
next day.
hurt, so we can laugh about it.
No, thank God. No, sure.
But you
But
were like,
literally,
you Americans know how to do it. That's
oh,
awesome.
that's funny.
Okay. All right, let's get back to fitness. Okay, so those of you that are in my community know that the equalizers are not the only piece of equipment that we use that Marc has created. And I want to talk a little bit about some of his other pieces of equipment because we do use them so much in our community and they're so versatile. Let's start with the buddy system.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of buddy systems between the van and the studio, and they're so versatile, portable, and I love coaching. I love being I learned this from Marc, when everybody's doing it, you've got one person holding and one person rowing, and you can really coach.
Yeah.
Talk to everyone about the buddy system, kind of the thought process behind that and how that came to be, Marc.
Yeah, just being my creative self and loving fitness and coming up with ideas. I'm almost like, we call this a Lebert lab sometimes because I'm in here trying out new things.
I love it.
So basically how it came about was with our belts in martial arts and taekwondo, we'd put them around our waist and practice resisted running. We'd practice rowing against each other, standing abdominal rotations. So I thought, let's put some handles on the end of it. And then the next iteration was getting that middle piece so that we could do the unilateral rowing.
I love the unilateral row.
Yeah, me too. It's just so, that tool to this day is still so massively underrated.
I agree.
When TRX came out with their product around the same time it came out with the Equalizer, I was already doing that stuff with our buddy system, but we launched the Equalizer first and then we launched that product. Yeah, the rowing just separates it from everything else out there. And
absolutely.
Long sets of muscle endurance. You can use it for warming up and stretching out, use it for strength, just about everything. And I love the way it kind of blurs the line between aerobic and anaerobic and how you can just anchor it anywhere or have your partner, like you said, holding on to it because I can push you and push you and then we switch. At conferences, that thing I sell so many to trainers at conferences within 5 minutes of being on that thing. They're like,
oh yeah.
Yes.
Because also it's affordable. And that's one thing about all your products, Marc, especially like somebody like me, right? Who was just a one-man show out in a parking lot with a lot of people. So I obviously can't, buy enough weights to accommodate. So having a product like that where one could serve two people, or I could even have someone go underneath like you've done before and, serve a larger crew. It was such a blessing for us in our community. And also anytime like a sports team will invite me to come, run a practice or whatever, I bring those because they're so good for athletes. I mean, I'll do the I call it controlled tug of war. I don't know what you call it, but everyone's out of breath. Like you said, anaerobic, and you would never think you're not jumping, you're walking in a squat backwards and you're anaerobic. It's now that we're a little bit older, stuff like that is so valuable, right? Where we can get our heart rate up and not have to jump and have impact. What's your favorite buddy system exercise?
So it's funny that you said that with the kids or with the teams, because yesterday I was teaching at a high school. I go in once a year to this high school that has an AIM program, which is a program designed for high school students to learn more about business of athletics. So athletics and the business side. So we do an hour talk they ask me lots of great questions. And then we do a workout. So I just get the buddy systems in. Well, they're called hit systems now. And we just row and I have them get up and down, which is fun. And then we row all the way across the gym and back.
Yeah, I like a traveling row. Yes.
Yeah. So I like a traveling row as well. And then, like you said, it's really easy to just do like quad dominant exercises without any equipment. So we go all the way there and back. We do jump squats and push ups, and we go all the way there and back. So I have one piece of equipment, three exercises, two are body weight, one's with the hit system or buddy system, and they're gassed.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It is fun. Really, I totally agree that that is a very I mean, sports teams could really benefit from it.
Yeah.
You could do this with anything. Obviously, you could do it with a super band or another piece of equipment, even a sturdy long tube. But what I use the most, which my students hate the most, is I use it for horse pull.
Yeah.
Because I like that has the handles, and I like that the seatbelt, the buddy systems are made from seatbelt material. So it's comfortable. It's not like sometimes, especially certain body types, the super band kind of goes into them. It's uncomfortable. I think the buddy systems are perfectly comfortable. And for some reason, I feel like it's a little bit safer. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if a band breaks while you're doing that, that's not a good thing.
Great point. Yeah. Yeah. So we use that. They hate those, but we do that. I actually made up this other drill years ago, and I brought it back recently. I call it like the pterodactyl. I probably didn't make it up. It's your drill, I'm sure, Mark. I probably stole it from you.
Maybe.
But one person holds that middle piece, and the other person moves forward, like almost feels like a Nordic track. Like you're like moving upper body and lower body. Yeah. It's so aerobic. And again, it's not high impact.
That's awesome. Honestly, I don't even know if I've done that one. I'm going to have to try it.
I'm telling you. I need you to come here, but okay.
I've been meaning to do that.
So we have the buddy systems. Another thing that I really like with the buddy systems is for a trainer, like a one-on-one, to help them with a push-up. Or I'm sure there's a plethora of things to do, but it's really nice. And also the trainer doesn't have, like when I used to bring them to I don't do a lot of personal training, but I did have a couple clients, and I would bring them and I would stand and hold for both of them, and they would do the drill. So it was very efficient. I love that. Okay. So let's move on to your latest piece of equipment. Well, we didn't talk about the stretch straps. Are they still, do you still?
Yeah, we still have stretch straps.
Yeah. I have them. I love them.
Yeah. Underrated.
They would be great. And obviously a stretching class if you had enough for everybody.
Yeah. And we usually just throw one. They come as a set as well. Usually you just need one. Yeah.
And let's talk about one other thing. Now, let me make sure this is right. If someone's buying a home kit, does the flat band come in all the home kits? The black and yellow one? I call it a flat band, hip band.
The hip bands? Yeah, the hip band comes with the equalizers. Yeah.
Okay. I am the biggest equipment snob in the world. It is by far the best hip band for all body types. It doesn't fray. It's the nicest looking. I love your hip band.
Yeah, it's just really easy for companies to just sell crap.
Yeah.
It really is. But
100%.
If you source the right equipment and you're known for quality, then that's what we're known for. And the hip bands, we went through a lot of them, testing them out to see which ones we liked, and this was the best one by far.
By far. I can't, like, if I get stuck with another one, because I have other ones just from lingering, I'm like, I need my black and yellow. I call it the black and yellow. So yes, that's another great product. And then most recently is the bar.
Yep, the resistance bar.
It's called the resistance bar. Okay.
Yeah, but basically it's just a small barbell with carabiners on the end, and then you hook up a red lighter band or a yellow, a little more aggressive band. Do your bicep curls, do your upright rows, do your shoulder press, do your squats.
Loaded squats.
It's a great little piece. Yeah, nothing about it is like anything that we invented, but we just put our own little take on it in terms of building it solid and great value too.
I was just going to say, I'll tell you what's inventive about it. It's affordable.
Yeah.
It's very affordable and I have them in the studio and I have them in the van, and it's great it's another great partner drill. Yeah. Like I'll have one person do a chest press with the band. And what I like about it too, because we have large groups of people, diverse. Some of my dudes are super strong. They can do both bands. Yeah. But then I could get a less strong person on that same setup. I don't have to redo, I don't have to put a new super band, and I can use one band. So there's so much versatility with it. That's what I really like. I feel like I need more with that. I need to see you with those. I need like a workshop with you. Yeah. Because I know, I do all the things that you said, but I know there's more. Yeah. I need to just play.
And after the call, we got to figure out a time. I'm flying over. We're going to do like trainer workshop, and then we'll teach in the class and
Oh my
hang out for
gosh,
the
that would be
weekend. So yeah, we
amazing.
got to do that real soon. Yeah,
Okay. Yay. I love it. That would make me so well, we really almost had it planned before the pandemic.
we
And
did. We were
yes. Cause
so
it's like right
yeah,
around your birthday. Your birthday's in May. And I think you were
yeah,
coming like,
yeah.
I forgot, but
I
then
remember I
there's so
was
much, but
yeah. I
yeah.
remember if I canceled flights, I at least had them on my computer, looking them up, and it's like because we're not far. We're not
We're
far at all.
super easy. We're super easy to get to. That's one
Yeah,
good thing. Dulles Airport. I know you've been to Reston Town Center. You've
yeah.
done conferences here. We are super easy to get to. So yeah. And I need to go to Canada. I didn't tell you this yet, Mark, but my oldest son is playing box lacrosse. A
Wow.
professional box lacrosse, and he
Mm.
plays for the Wings. And he was in Canada like 3 weeks in a row. And I'm like, I need to go to
Okay.
Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like
Jeez.
he's making friends with a lot of Canadians.
Yeah. Let me know when he's in Toronto. I'd love to go see him play.
Yeah,
I
I'll let
think
you
no, they play
know.
at Hamilton now. I think it's in Hamilton, but regardless, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll let you know. But yeah, I'll definitely, because I'm embarrassed to say that I grew up in upstate New York and I've never even been to any part of Canada. I've never even been to Montreal. That's embarrassing. But will definitely,
Oh
will
yeah.
definitely go there. Okay, so Mark, we talked a little bit about the equipment.
Mhm.
And you gave us a little bit about you, but I feel like there's so much more to you. Okay. And that's one thing I just want to share with everybody. In addition to obviously having a huge passion in the fitness industry and the
Yeah.
business side of fitness, obviously manufacturing and doing all the things that you've done. I know a lot of not a lot, but I know several inventors that have really struggled with product, just the relationships, and it hasn't lasted.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you have any advice or any. I know I've sent a couple people to you even because
Yeah.
I was like, you need to talk to Mark. But anything, any kind of words of wisdom in that department?
Yeah, lots. We
It's
could do
another
hours
podcast.
on it. Yeah, it is. It's a grind, and
Mm-hmm.
especially now, commodities get knocked
Mm-hmm.
off very quickly. So you have to be first to market, and you have to go fast, and you have to be, put a lot of resources at the front end. And a lot of people can't afford to do that, or don't have
Yeah.
the bandwidth, or they have another job, or whatever. Their wife is like, no,
Mm.
whatever the reasons are. Like literally, I was lucky. I had great business partners, and I do today. You met Don and Raj there, so we all kind of pull in the same direction. But it takes a lot of resources to get something off the ground. For example, if I'm going to launch a new product for Lever Fitness, I have to put in, let's say, $250,000 to get the the pages on the website done, order the product, fulfill the product, store the product, advertise the product, get the videos, do all the things I need to do to get it. If it takes off, great. It's going to be knocked off within a month or two.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't take off, I just wasted 250. So it's a real tough business. It's a real
Yeah.
tough business. And that's why you don't see too many products make it. It's just if they stuck with it another year or two or three, maybe. I was
Mm.
talking to an inventor yesterday. He's working for a big fitness company now, and he had a product and it was great, but they just ran out of money.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's just sometimes it's just hard. And so I'm kind of proud that we're able to
You should
maintain.
be so proud.
Yeah.
But it's your passion and it's the fact that you found a way to make it affordable. Maybe you didn't make as much per product, but you got the volume out there. People
Yeah.
saw them. People then wanted them for their home gyms.
Yeah.
I think there's so much of, in my opinion, what you did that was really, really smart. And you never deviated from it either. Mark, you constantly were putting out education. Within the week, you probably put something on Instagram just like, oh, this is a fun thing to do. You're
Yeah.
still passionate about it,
Yeah.
which makes other people still passionate
Yeah.
about it. Just the way that you show up with the product.
Yeah.
And you also did a really good job of, I don't know what the word is, grassroots marketing or
Mhm.
social media. You tagged everyone. You would people from all over the world. You hustled.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I really respect about you. People know in my community, a couple people didn't know. In their defense, they didn't know, but they showed up with equalizers that were not branded properly. Like, oh, I got it on Amazon. I'm like, no, you can't actually bring that to this parking lot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's not
And they're
allowed.
so wobbly and they're pieces of crap too.
Yeah, they
So
really are. Like I said earlier, like it's really easy to make crap. If you
yeah.
want to make something that's going to last, that's safe for your clients. Yeah.
So one thing, as well that we didn't really talk about, but because I use them, I want you to talk about a little bit the taller version of the
Yeah.
equalizer. the tall boy.
Yeah, so we have so our original height, this is our original height. And
Hmm.
for a lot of sometimes people think they need a taller version because they're taller, but the original height is actually good for taller people to make some exercises hard. But that's
Hmm.
a whole seminar. But the taller ones are great if you want a little bit more range of motion for the rows and for the dips. And so that's awesome. And a lot of people appreciate we made the taller ones. And then we just made an XXL, which is also wider, and so that's for the calisthenics guys because they like to get underneath it and do front levers and all those types of things. So they have lots of room to
Oh,
play underneath the equalizers.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, I'll send you a set of the XXLs just so you have them.
You're so
You can
nice.
play around with those and
Yeah, I do like the tall ones. We also do like a lot of kickovers now. Of course, that we're all
yeah,
a little bit older. We do a lot of mobility work,
yeah,
so I do a lot of kickovers and just I use them. I have this like whole mobility warm up that I use them for. For me, my body, and I'm not super tall, but I do prefer the taller one.
yeah,
And I don't like doing a row. I like doing a row on a tall because it's what I'm used to. But for years I did it on the lower one and I was
yeah,
perfectly happy. But now
yeah.
I like just that extra little
Yeah,
layer.
that little bit is, it's nice to have both depending what you're doing. Like sometimes in class, like if I have somebody who doesn't have good mobility and we're kicking over the equalizers, I can put them on their side or
Oh,
like,
that's a good idea.
yeah, put them on their side. So they're a little bit shorter this way,
Yeah,
or
that's,
I just have
oh
them
my
kick
gosh, I've
under.
never done that.
Yeah. But sometimes, yeah, if you kick over
I
the
just tell them
bar,
to stand behind it.
yeah, yeah. Well, that works too. That works too.
No, your idea is better because
Yeah.
then they actually have something to kick over.
Yeah,
See, I knew
exactly.
I'd get something good out of today.
Always something.
I'm getting so much out, but yeah, that's a really really good idea. And then the parallettes too. We didn't talk about the parallettes.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because like my background is in gymnastics or calisthenics, and when we first came up with the equalizers a couple years in, I was at a trade show and somebody's like, "Oh, those look like tall parallettes," and then I'm like, "Yeah, they do." And then as they walked away, I'm googling what the heck parallettes were, and so
I didn't know what they were either.
so the parallettes we have, they're a great product for calisthenics, body weight training, great for push-up bars, great for all kinds
Yeah.
of like toe tapping and touches, great for stretching, great for yoga and mobility. They're not as versatile as equalizers, but I still find a million things to do with them.
Oh yeah.
Handstand practice for people who like to do that, handstands,
Yep.
shoulder stands. They're a great little tool as well.
Yeah, they are. And even just having something so like we do a lot of station work. I don't have them outside, but I have them in the studio. Just having something so easy to grab. It's like I can put eight
Yeah,
of them there and that's a station, or four of them there and that's
absolutely.
a station. I just love like I just love the versatility. And I
Yeah.
wanted to say this before I forgot, but I was actually at a one of Todd's retreats in Montana, and Perform Better was there, and they said, and I've been thinking about this if it's really true. Well, I'm sure it's true if they said it, but there hasn't really been like a product in the past like 10 years, like a really like revolutionary, like an equalizer in the past 10 years. Would you agree with that, Mark? Or can you think of something?
Oh, wow. I think stick mobility, my buddy Dennis Dumpy, I
Okay.
think that product would be the biggest new product in a long time. But outside of that, it was like TRX, Bosu, us, and then just fell off a cliff from there.
Yeah.
There's been some
Well,
like,
I think a lot of what the money part is a big deal. Like people might
it
have
really
ideas,
is.
but
Yeah, it really is. You just got to, like you said, grind and grind and grind. And a friend of mine said this to me the other day. He goes, Mark, if you stay in the line long enough, eventually you're at the front of the line. It's
that's
such a simple thing to say. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I did. I just stayed in the line long enough.
so, but that's grit. And that's like, that's my story too, Mark. I'm not better than
It
anybody at
is.
anything. I just keep going when other people get tired. And
Yeah.
that's your superpower and it's working for you.
Your superpower is like, for me, it's like on my, I got Korean writing on a tattoo on my arm. And because one of the kids yesterday in class was asking, what does that stand for? And I asked my master, Grandmaster Chung, I was going to get a tattoo, write in Korean something that describes me. So he wrote that and I got it. And before I, got the tattoo, I said, what does it mean? He goes, it means you get knocked down 1,000 times and you just get up and keep going. It's
Oh,
perseverance. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
that's
Sometimes I
amazing.
might be just stupid, but I'm
Wait a
stubborn.
minute.
I'm stubborn, stupid, I persevere, and almost have as much. Well, actually, I have about 1/10 the passion you have. But I think that's a big part of is maintaining that passion because, there's days where it's like, oh my God, can't believe like I got to do this again, like the same thing over and over again. But a lot of people don't know about the equalizers or know how to use them. So I have to keep that energy and passion up.
So you're also an artist, and I read or heard somewhere that one of your future aspirations is to open an art gallery. Is that
Yes,
something?
yeah. The pandemic put a hold on that. I wanted to do it around this time, so it's going to have to wait a few years. But yeah, I've been a lifelong painter. It's my passion. I was born to do it. I
Mm,
got kind of got socialized into fitness, and I love fitness, and I love working out, and I love teaching and creating all the things that I do. I find a very creative way to do fitness.
you do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's cool. I think the world needs creative people because that's
Hmm.
what changes things, right? If we all did the
Hmm.
same thing. So creative people are kind of like outliers. Yeah, this is how crazy. So I don't know if you know like too many people that are like really into art like I am. I'll go in the garage after dinner, 7 at night. I'll have a rum and OJ. I don't know why I like rum and OJ. No music, just me in my studio. I will paint till 6 in the morning. Like I used to just go straight from painting all night to my client things. And so that's why I haven't painted a whole lot lately because we're so busy building the businesses back up. But when I paint, it's manic. Like
Mm,
I'll do hour after hour, and it'll go by like that. It's
wow. That's amazing. That is really amazing to have that diversity, like just, and to be able to foster them both. There might be other people that have, I'm sure a lot of people have multi, but the fact that you haven't let that go and you really keep that part top of mind, I love that.
yeah,
And you also have a gym. So that's where you are right now, Fitness Nation.
yeah.
You're at the Nation. Tell us a little bit about, well, tell us about uh, do you call it a gym or a fitness studio?
Yeah, gym. It's a
Okay.
5,000 square feet. It's a gym. We do everything. Our top three things that we do are body weight strength training, boot camps with the equalizers and our other fitness products. Then we do strength and conditioning with the weights, and we do boxing. That's going to change really soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I went from training in home clients, which we talked about really early on, to opening a small studio with my buddy who's a chiropractor, to opening my first gym, which we had for 10 years, to moving to this one, which we've been in for 15 years now.
Wow.
So been in the gym business quite some time.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I know, we're not going to talk about it because we don't like to talk about it, but I know in Canada, the pandemic was very disruptive for all of you guys, and most people didn't survive.
most didn't. 60% of all small operators like us went under.
Mm,
I have personally 6 different friends who lost their fitness businesses because of the
deep
how do I
breath.
yeah, how do I say this without it was just policy wise it was wrong to shut down small businesses for 2.5 years while Costco stayed open, McDonald's stayed open, liquor
Mm,
stores stayed open. It just was wrong.
wrong. I couldn't agree
But
more.
yeah.
So now you have a new venture, which I think is pretty exciting. Hopefully, it'll bring you. Yeah. So talk about your new partnership with Nine Round, Mark, and how that's what
Yeah.
that means.
Nine
And
round
maybe
is a
talk about what Nine Round is because
yeah,
we're going to
yeah,
have a lot of
yeah.
US listeners, I assume.
Right.
Hopefully, we'll get some of your Canadian listeners too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely share it. I'm excited to share this with everyone. Nine Round is a fitness kickboxing franchise based out of South Carolina in Greensville. They grew, like they came up with this amazing concept. The owner, Shannon the Cannon Hudson, came up with this idea of let's have 9 stations or 9 rounds, and each round. So the first round is skipping whatever warm up, and then you go the next round all the way through. They got the bags, you could kick and punch, and by the time you get through, they have a body weight station at the end. It's body weight / abs, and that's how we got our equalizers in with them. They wanted a new tool to refresh kind of their circuit.
Okay.
And what the best part about it is there's no class times. So you have a busy mom and you can't make a class. You show up whenever you show up. That's when the class starts. So you
Hmm.
have the first station, second station. You go through 30 minutes of hit, and great workout, great concept. They have the equalizers. Then they got our hit system, buddy system as another product. And that's when they invited us to be the Canadian franchisor. So the franchisees in Canada now have us as someone who can help them with the marketing, help them with getting products to their clubs a little cheaper, and grow the brand in Canada. So we're
So smart.
super excited. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you're putting a, a Nine Round as part of your
Yeah.
Lieber, the Fitness Nation. It's going to be right
Yeah.
next door.
Yeah, this whole thing's going to change. So it's going to be probably the first hybrid in their entire model across the world
Okay.
where you have two gyms connected. So what we're thinking of doing is if you join 9 round for another $50 a month, you can come in here and do all the Libre Fitness awesome classes and vice versa.
That's so smart. Actually, I think that's well, I like that idea a lot. I think that's really smart. I think they're
Well,
gonna that could be a whole new market for them. That's really smart.
yeah, we're going to learn a lot about the franchising model. My partners already are just taking on so much information and learning all the
Mm,
systems and connecting with all the store owners. But we're going to learn a lot about franchising because we want to take the Libre Fitness concept and build that out as well,
yeah, I love that. I think it's brilliant. Are they all over the United
yeah,
States or just in certain markets?
all over. Yeah,
Okay. I'll have to
yeah,
look and see if
and
we
all
have
over
one
the
near us.
world, all over the world
All
as
over
well.
the world. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. I think that concept is really great and it sounds very inviting. It sounds very unintimidating. The fact that you can just go in and do it at your own pace, you do your own circuit, but still be guided and have
I
plan. I think gyms, I love to work out. If I went into a gym, I'd be like, what should I do? I don't know what to do. I
yeah,
need to be part of something.
I think
So the fact that there's a program.
I think you absolutely nailed it without even actually ever being in one or seeing one. You nailed it. It's very inviting. Like that's why our brands worked so well together because Lebert, our tagline is fitness for all. And
Mm,
this kickboxing is for kickboxing for all. Anyone can come in from absolute rank beginner to a professional athlete and love the workout. And like you said, it's guided, and there's always a store owner, staff in there to help out at the different stations or push you a little bit if that's what you like. And a lot of
yeah,
them have TVs, so you just look, okay, this is what I'm doing at this station for 3 minutes, da da da, next station, you know. So it's
I
good,
love it. I love
fantastic.
it. And is the boxing, do they have what do they box on? Do they actually physically box?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
got the bags. Yeah, so it's
The
got
bags. That's I'm
it's
losing that word.
yeah, yeah, it's
Love
got the
that.
heavy bags. So you before you go through, you get your wraps and your gloves on. You don't
Okay.
use the gloves for the first two stations,
Well,
and
that
then
makes
after that,
sense.
you get the gloves on and start punching and kicking. It's fantastic. They got like the double
Yeah.
end bag. It's I love it. And being like boxing's always been a big part of everything I've always done in
I know.
fitness because I fell in love with boxing years ago when I was a strength and conditioning coach for Canadian Olympian and Commonwealth champion Billy the Kid Irwin. And so ever since
Yeah.
then, I've always liked boxing as a conditioning tool for my clients.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And for yourself too. Aren't you like a
yeah,
black belt? Thought you
yeah,
that was like part of your background
yeah, yeah,
when you were younger. Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. Oh my gosh, Mark, I could talk to you forever, but
Yeah.
I'd asked my community, like, I'm talking to Mark, what questions do you want me to ask? And they did, the one thing they wanted to know was I think we kind of talked about it a little bit, but your favorite exercise for each piece of equipment.
Okay.
But we did touch on
Yeah.
that a little bit, or
Yeah.
maybe just favorite way to program the equipment. They just want to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, it changes from day to day, week
Yeah.
to week. Last night, I was telling my class like kneeling tricep extensions on
Mm,
equalizers,
one of my favorites.
right into push ups, right into tricep jump press. And I was saying to the class, kneeling tricep extensions is my favorite exercise with equalizers. And they were like, you say
You
that about
say
every
that.
exercise.
Mark, why? This is like a personal pet peeve, and I don't know why people do it. Maybe you have some insight. When I do that, I love the tricep extension, and I know it's hard. And I tell them they can go on two wheels. I like going on two wheels a little bit
Yeah, me
better,
too. Yeah.
but they try to go underneath it.
Yeah.
They like
I
try.
always say forehead to the foam pad. Yeah,
Yeah,
forehead
that's
to the
what I
foam pad.
say. I'm like, I
Yeah,
learned from
because,
the best. I learned from Mark. It's
yeah,
forehead. I don't know.
yeah,
And
you
sometimes
don't
it's really
realize.
fit people that are trying to do it. I think like, are
Yeah.
they trying to work a different muscle group and just trying to like get,
It feels like a bit more of a stretch in the triceps when you do it that way. But honestly,
okay.
if they drive the elbows through but keep the forehead at the foam pad, they'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, a little sequence. I love that too. Just moving between them. And so in that situation, you're using one bar, not two.
yeah,
You're
yeah. I
using one
used one bar
equalizer at
all
a
last
time.
night. Yeah,
What's your
yeah. So
favorite double? What's your favorite? Now, the
yeah,
equalizers, in case people don't know, they're a set. They're meant to be, well, you could do them however you want, but they look like an equalizer.
yeah, yeah. So with the 2 bars lately, my favorite thing by far is pressing down and just bringing my knees up and then coming down nice and like controlled. So I can do a straight legs with my class. I have them do knee ups because
Mm-hmm.
it's just so great to build strength and endurance in the shoulders, but it's such a great core exercise as well. So last 2 classes ago, we did that one with a burpee, get up, down, burpee, get up. So very slow and controlled.
Oh, so the burpee's on the floor, and then
Yeah. And
you
then you
step up and you do the knee up.
get on the
But you get a
EQs,
little
knees up.
break in between each one.
Yeah, a little bit of a break. So it's a
Okay.
little more of like a war of attrition. It's not like
I
super
love
high
that.
intensity, but just owning each movement.
That's so funny. I have 2 stories about that exercise. And one is I have a student, I'm going to give her a little shout out because she's been incredibly dedicated and she's been with us for about 2 years and has completely transformed her body and body composition. She's in her 50s and she one day just unexpectedly could do the knee up. And she was so happy. She was just like ecstatic. Like she's like, "Oh my gosh, Kelly, I've never been able to do that exercise." And there's great because you can jump to it a little bit if you don't have the strength. You can there's little hacks, but she physically could like pull her knees all the way to her chest with straight arms.
Amazing.
She was so happy. And that was my good story. Then my guys the other day in dude camp, I did I called it a combine, and I used that. I was timing each one individually, which was my mistake, obviously, to time guys. But that was their last exercise. They had to do, I forgot, 5. And it was like, okay, like we needed to have a huge tutorial afterwards. I'm like, no, that is not what it looks like. But they're bigger. Some of them are like 250, for them to
Yeah.
do it. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a
They don't have
lot.
the strongest cores, but they got it better. So anyway,
Right.
I've kept you so long, Mark, but I definitely want to have you on again because there's so much more I'd love to talk to you about.
Absolutely.
And I want to give you just a minute to say hi to KVC community, just because you
Yeah.
are so adored by my community. They all know who you are and they all love you. And we're so grateful for your equipment. I really am. It was a big boost in my business when I first started. I didn't really talk about that at all, but I didn't charge a lot for my boot camps, and just having that little extra revenue from the bars was really helpful for me.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
great. Yeah.
always grateful to you, Mark, and just
Awesome.
all the education that you provide makes me emotional. I'm really grateful for you. And my best quality is my ability to judge
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And the minute I met you, I'm like, I love this dude.
Well, we're definitely 2 peas in a pod. Don't get emotional because then I will.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, like attracts like. Definitely, iron sharpens iron. And just like, the energy, just resonates with some people. And your energy always resonated with me as well. So that's the best part about getting out to trade shows, was meeting people like you and obviously the community. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mark, for being on. And I'm sure we'll do this again. And you guys heard it here. He's coming to Virginia. We can't wait.
So let's aim for around the time the Idea show. I don't know if they're still on. Let's aim for February.
I don't think Idea comes to DC
I
anymore.
don't think they're doing anymore. So I'm coming. Let's go.
That's right.
Let's do our thing.
That's right. We'll get you back here. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been so much fun. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.